the street, they call it murder. Hey, hey, hey. Yes, yeah. World of reggae music on ya. Hey. Keep me rocking with me data. Hey. World of reggae music on ya. Hey. Never left ya, never know, sir.
Appreciate what you said, if I understand correctly. The impact of the enslavement on African is that it created a Holocaust. And by Holocaust, I mean a morally monstrous act of genocide that is not only against the people themselves, but also a crime against humanity. And it expresses itself in three basic ways. First, the morally monstrous destruction of human life. See, we have to start with that. That's why we can't call it slave trade. And I need to stop here and say that what the oppressor does is always try to deny what he did and to make people believe they're responsible for their own oppression. All oppressors do that. Whether we're talking Pittsburgh or Palestine, whether we're talking in the United States or the Soviet Union or wherever else people were or are oppressed. Do you understand that? The Europeans have oppressed the world, and they want the world to believe that they are somehow saving us. They did it with the Native Americans, they did it with the Africans, they did it with the Latinos, they did it with the Asians, and they even do it to some of their own people. So we have to realize that the ruling race class will always try to deny the effect of and the responsibility for the Holocaust. And they do that first by trying to call it other names like trade. Now, if the Holocaust or enslavement is only trade, then it's business gone bad with collateral damage. If, however, it is what I said, the moral monstrous destruction of human life that results in genocide, both as a culture and physical expression, then that's a gross injury that requires reparations. The other thing they try to do is make us responsible for our enslavement. And here they collapse three kinds of people: perpetrators, collaborators, and victims. You can't do that. The perpetrator is clearly the European. The collaborator, some Africans did. I don't need that. But that doesn't mean continental Africans did and we didn't. No, we're the same people. That's what people say. I want the continental African to apologize for me. For what? That's my family. The European needs to apologize. The continental African, I'm the continental African. I'm just here now.
These esteemed scholars who have come before me, they have busted the statistics and dropped the realistics, and now I'm going to kick the ballistics. We set forth here tonight that the black Holocaust is 100 times worse than the so-called Jew Holocaust. Why do we even need to make a comparison? Because it was the old no-good President Buck-Tooth Jimmy Carter who stepped out and stepped forward when they were beginning to prepare to build the Jewish Holocaust Memorial. It was Jimmy Carter who said that it was the most unspeakable crime in the history of all time. He made a statement of comparison. When we deal with General David Eisenhower made similar statements that we read and we saw on the walls of the Jewish Holocaust Memorial yesterday, making the world to believe that this was the most overpowering crime and atrocity against humankind in the history of all time. Everyone has come and said that it is the worst Holocaust that has ever existed, but all of a sudden when we come out on you, you now back down and claim that you never made a comparison. Well, tonight I'm going to make a comparison. We're going to lay the case out and see which Holocaust is the most dreadful, which Holocaust is the most vicious and bestial Holocaust, most bloody Holocaust ever recorded in the annals of time. But you want to deny us because you owe us reparations and you don't want to pay up today. The so-called Jew Holocaust. And I say so-called Jew because he's not a real Jew. He's a Johnny-come-lately Jew who just crawled out of the caves and hills of Europe just a few days ago. So you're not even the real Jew, buddy. The so-called Jew Holocaust lasted, you with me? Because I got to drop this stuff tonight because I'm a truth terrorist. I'm a knowledge gangster. I'm a black history hitman. I'm a lie killer, urban gorilla. I gotta be a roughneck. Gotta be a roughneck. It's the only way I know to go. The Jew Holocaust lasted 10 years. But the Holocaust of the black man and woman lasted over 500 years. Let's look at it. 110 years, 500 years. Maybe I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm too much of a racist. Maybe I'm too much of a bigot and an anti-Semite when I'm really none of that. But maybe just by chance, 10 years is greater than 500 years. Let's kick the ballistics. You say you lost 6 million, and we question that. You say you lost 6 million, but for the sake of argument, we'll give you 6 million. We lost over 600 million lives in the the black Holocaust over the past 6,000 years, and over the past 400 to 500 years in specific. Maybe I'm a little bit confused. Maybe I'm too big a racist or an anti-Semite or a bigot. And maybe somehow 6 million is greater than 600 million. That possibility is there. You have your Schindler's List, which is really a swindler's list, because you were involved in the slave trade. You were involved, and you don't want to actually accept your involvement because you too want to escape reparations. You want to escape reparations and what is due the black man and black woman.
Kromantse Abanze are twin fishing villages, important historical trading centers to which the late Louis Armstrong, the great jazz player, traced his ancestry. Fort Amsterdam, also known as Fort Abanze, overlooks Kromantse and Abanze. This was one of the trading stations of the Dutch and the English. The people of Kromantse Abanze are mourning. They mourn, yet they are in high spirits. They await the arrival of the remains of their two ancestors. The Asafo warriors carry aloft the remains of two of their own. What else are they but warriors? Even in a strange land, the irrepressible, defiant, and resistant spirit of the Asafo warriors was manifest in the uprising and struggles of the enslaved for freedom. The symbolic return to the castle is about to begin aboard dugout canoes. Today the ancestors will return to the Cape Coast Castle, that dreadful dungeon of anguish and pain, of darkness and lost hope. Today those dreadful doors of no return will be opened wide to a royal welcome for Crystal and John Carson.
I am a warrior, and I'm not supposed to cry. But I'm so moved that every once in a while I got to walk off to my side because I never thought it would become like this. I'm so proud of being an African and being here that I can't even describe it. I am really, really overwhelmed.
Cape Coast, traditionally known as Ogwa, was one of the earliest towns along the coast to receive European adventurers and traders. Before 1877, it served as the capital of the then Gold Coast, but then lost its position to Accra. Today, as the capital of the central region, Cape Coast still abounds in buildings and structures left over by the colonial legacy. The most famous of these is the Cape Coast Castle. The Cape Coast Castle started as a lodge put up by the Portuguese about 200 yards from the coast. It was meant to facilitate the Portuguese trading activities with the people along the coast. As trading activities increased, it was expanded. The castle has been described as a concentration camp where captured Africans were kept, awaiting the arrival of the death ships for the journey to the unknown. The castle offers concrete testimony to the drama of human history and stands as witness to the slave trade.